The coronavirus. Where is my yoga? Our entire planet is now forced to deal with a pandemic. It is a time that breeds confusion and anxiety, and when we look to our yoga to strengthen and guide us. Our belief in the power of yoga is being tested and can be strained, causing us to lose faith. Are innocent people being punished? Is this the worldwide karma attack? What happened to my peace of mind? Where is God, the all-merciful, all-wise creator and sustainer of the universe, the ultimate reality, our source and essence, our true self? Let's take a look at the story of Adam and Eve for some insights. After Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, God banished them from the Garden of Eden. It was an act that is shattering in its harsh force. It offers no hope of amnesty. It appears to be irreversible and devastating. God bars Adam and Eve from re-entry into the garden by posting cherubim with flaming swords at the entrance. Not only did they lose the perks of being in the garden, they lost their intimate relationship with God. This is a God that loved his creations, a God who went on evening strolls with them. How are we to understand this God? We need to go a bit further into the story to pick up clues. The authors of Genesis are attempting to make an important point about the relationship between human beings and the divine.
When Adam and Eve were banished, where did they go? To a land that was essentially a barren, harsh desert. In Hebrew symbolism, the desert was an empty waste that always threatened to annihilate the lives and fragile achievements of human beings. This wasteland holds the same symbolic value as the formless void we find at the very beginning of creation in Genesis 1-3. In this passage, we get to watch God hovering over the void, a wasteland. This is a hovering charged with meaning. It can be likened to a mother eagle lovingly looking after her young. The Hebrew word translated as hovering also suggests breath, spirit, and creative power. God is poised to act. It is a moment of utter stillness, empty of everything but the unimaginable force, the supreme divine potential ready to burst forth. It arrives with stark simplicity that only heightens its power. God speaks creation into being. God declares, "Let there be light." It is a drama depicting the release of infinite power beyond our understanding. But the hovering that precedes it reveals compassion. God sees the void, the waste, and does not, even cannot let it be. Reading Genesis, we find two very different profiles of the divine. One is all-powerful and compassionate, who, as he creates, pronounces everything as good. The other is a harsh disciplinarian who appears to abandon the pinnacle of his creations.
While we can't fathom the infinite, these paradoxical profiles with our finite minds, we will find a precious clue a bit further on. Before Adam and Eve leave the garden, God himself made them clothing to protect them. This seemingly short-tempered God of banishment from Eden needs to be placed alongside the God of compassion. The story of Adam and Eve is meant to help us come to a deeper understanding of both the glories and blessings of the divine, as well as the hardships that confront every human being. This paradox forms the thread upon which we dance the ballet of life. There is another important lesson to be contemplated. The expulsion from the garden was not a temperamental decision made by an angry God. Adam and Eve are expelled from the garden due to their own short-sighted desires. They had been nurturing a desire for independence from the divine. It was this that alienated them, not from God, but from the faith that is the avenue of communication between human beings and God. God told them that on the day they ate of that fruit, they would die. But they didn't die, at least not physically. Their death was a separation from the experience of God's presence, grace, and love. Both divine profiles, the God who pronounced everything good and who lovingly watches like a mother eagle watches her young, and the God that makes sure that we have the clothing we need to go out into the world, is still with each one of us even now. We are protected, not rejected. We just need to claim that protective blessing as our birthright.
Gurudev Swami Satchidananda often reminded us that fear and faith don't go together. The harmonizing, healing, wise power of faith is not something outside of us. It is already within us. It is the divine presence within. It is the same compassionate power that gave us free will to do good or evil. It rests in our heart of hearts, waiting to be ignited by our acts of loving kindness and our moments of quiet contemplation. The story of creation didn't happen just once. It replays all day, every day in all of us. That empty void is within us. It is ignorance of our true nature. It expresses as doubt, fear, craving, anger, or hatred. It is one of God's best hiding places. It is here that God still hovers like the mother eagle, ready to bring light into the darkest corners of our minds and hearts. God, full of compassion, waits, eager to proclaim to us, "Let there be enlightenment. Let there be an end to this child's suffering."
During this time of challenge, know that the self in you is stronger than any challenge the world can toss at you. Pay attention to what medical experts and reputable healthcare professionals recommend. Build your immunity through asana, pranayama, and meditation, and a healthy diet. Get rest. Keep informed and be prepared, but don't let the mind dwell obsessively on the virus. Pray for those who are suffering. Keep in touch with like-minded seekers. Keep your vision on the divine light within and without. Affirm your true nature. You are the self, not the mind-body. The self cannot fall sick, and it was never born, and it will never die. God's footprints can be revealed in things of great beauty and in times of great challenge. Be strong. Nurture your faith. Love each other. Like all things that come, this too shall pass.